Yo, what's up, Broncos country? This is Eddie with Rocky Mountain Blitz, and I wanted to get on here and make this video tonight. Got a little time. I know it's getting a little late, but I had a long day at work, so I took a bit of a rest whenever I got home. But anyway, let's get into last night's first round and talk about it and what it entails and everything that went into it. So here we go. So last night there was a lot of speculation what the Broncos were going to do. Were they going to trade up? Were they going to trade back? Were they going to take Bo Nix at 12? Like a lot of speculation. And honestly, at the time, I was perfectly fine with whatever the Broncos decided to do, whether if it was trade up, trade back, or stay at pick 12 and take Bo Nix. I was happy with either thing, either any of it. But we traded for Zach Wilson earlier in the week. Honestly, I thought they were going to trade back. Um, I thought it was more plausible at that point to trade back, but it depended on how the board fell. And boy, did it fall weird, especially at pick 8 last night with the Falcons taking Michael Penix. I think that really that's what caused the Broncos to stay at 12 and take Bo Nix because we knew the top three most likely were going to be, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. There was a lot of speculation that the Vikings would trade up to 4, maybe the Broncos would trade up to 4 or 5, maybe even possibly 3 to get JJ McCarthy. Well, that's not how it played out. Like I said, 3 quarterbacks and the first 3 picks, then Marvin Harrison. And the craziest thing was, man, I think like the first half of the draft, I don't think a defensive guy was taken to like 15 or 16. I can't remember off the top of my head. Because after we drafted Bo Nix, I was freaking excited. But it was just crazy how the board fell. Like, a lot of people were talking about, the Chargers taking a receiver at pick 5 or trading out, you know, but they got an offensive lineman, and then at pick 6, right, the last couple of days before the first round, people were talking about, oh, the Giants might take a quarterback here. They could take JJ McCarthy, you know, but they didn't. They took Malik Neighbors. Um, and then we get the pick 7, of course, the Titans take an offensive lineman because they really need one. And then pick 8, like everybody was, saying, oh, they're going to take Dallas Turner. They're going to take Verse. They're going to take a defensive guy, to bolster their defense. No one expected in their right minds that the Falcons were going to take a freaking quarterback at pick 8. They just signed Kirk Cousins to pretty much a fully guaranteed contract for 4 years. Their offense is stacked at weapons and everything. They need defensive help, and they went quarterback. Now, that to me forced the Broncos' hand. That really did. Because once Penix went off the board, we knew that, the Vikings were still sitting at 11. We knew they were going to, like, unless like somebody else besides us traded up to pick, 8 or 9 or 10, the Vikings were going to take JJ. And I was saying this last night on the stream I was in with my fellow co-host, from Colorado Sports Connection, that um, I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos traded up to pick 9. It's only a couple of spots. You don't have to give up as much. And you can get JJ. That's only if Sean Payton wanted JJ McCarthy. And as we all know now, he didn't want JJ. Bo Nix has been the guy. We found out earlier in the day today that the big board for the Broncos, their top players were Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. We found that out earlier today. And so and this news just came out to me about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago before I got on here and started making this live, that Sean Payton literally scared the Vikings into trading up. He talked about it in his presser, I think earlier today, that he made it seem to the Vikings that Broncos were going to trade up to pick 9 or 10 and take JJ. And I mean, I don't know like what the purpose of that is. I mean, even if like they didn't really they only traded up one spot. The Vikings traded up to 10 from 11 to get JJ, which I don't understand why. Like and Sean Payton knew the Broncos were going to trade up to get him. They knew Bo Nix was the guy. Like, just let the Vikings stay at 11. I mean, it's funny. I thought it was hilarious. That and then once the Jets got on the clock at pick 11 after they traded back from pick 10 with the Vikings, that's when a lot of people were expecting, oh god, here's the Raiders. The Raiders are going to trade up to 11 and they're going to take Bo Nix. I didn't think that was going to happen. I wasn't worried about that in the slightest because Nix is not. I know the Raiders were high on Penix. Like once he went, it was just like, okay, they're not going to take a quarterback. So at pick 12 finally comes up for the Broncos. And you can go watch the stream from last night. Like I said, Colorado Sports Connection. I was on the stream with the guys, and whenever the Broncos came up in pick 12, Brock Bowers was still on the board. They were talking about, oh, you can't pass up on Brock Bowers. You got to take him. You got to take him. You got to take him. And, one of the guys was like, oh, no, trade back, get more picks. Two of the guys in the stream were like, no, you can't pass on Brock Bowers. You have to take him here at 12. He fell to your lap. He's a superstar. And I respect the heck out of these guys. I love their opinions. I love the, enthusiasm and everything. But I was still Bo Nix. Like, I'm like, you need the quarterback of the future. I don't think Sean Payton and the Walton Penner group are going to be patient with this. They want their guy of the future. And I've been saying this all offseason. I knew Bo Nix. Like, I didn't know he was going to be the pick. Like, I seriously thought at some point there for a while that they were going to trade up and try to get JJ. But Bo Nix to me fit the system for Sean Payton so perfectly. Like the short, intermediate, routes, the processing, really far, really smart, IQ with the football, like he was just perfect for the system. He can make those, timing throws, those accurate throws over the middle that Russell Wilson couldn't. So I was on the freaking Bo Nix train since the beginning, of the offseason or even before that, right around the Super Bowl, when I really started paying attention, I was a Bo Nix guy. And then they're like, no, you got to take Brock Bowers. You got to take Brock Bowers. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, okay, say you take Brock Bowers. What's he going to do when he ain't got a quarterback to throw to him? People are like, well, you got Zach Wilson, maybe he needed to change the scenery. Listen, no, I'm sorry. Like, I think Zach Wilson's a great backup, but I don't think a change of scenery for him is going to make a difference. I really don't. Maybe Sean Payton fixes him a little if he plays, but he's not going to turn into a guy you can win games with. He might get a little bit better, but to me, Zach Wilson is who he is. Like, that's why I wanted Bo Nix. And my opinion never changed. Um, I was like, the only thing that changed with my opinion, I still said we should take Bo Nix even after we traded for Zach Wilson. The only thing that changed was I said, okay, maybe we could trade back and get a second round pick. I'm fine with that. But last night, whenever Michael Penix went off the board at 8, I was like, no. You got to take Bo Nix at 12. You cannot, like, someone's going to scoop him up. Like, and right behind us, I think you had the Raiders who possibly could have took him. I'm not saying they would have. I don't think, maybe they don't. I don't know, but it's possible. The Saints were there, and from my understanding, they're not very happy with Derek Carr. So maybe they take Bo Nix at 14, or maybe the Seahawks. And I know the Rams, like the last couple of days before the draft, the Rams were like, we're really interested in Bo Nix. We want, they were talking about maybe moving up. So, like, I was happy. Like, when the pick came in last night, I was yelling. I was so excited that we got our quarterback of the future. Because, like I said, if you would have drafted Brock Bowers there at 12, who the heck's going to throw him the ball? Like, seriously, who's going to throw it to him? You're going to have a superstar tight end, a really great tight end, and he's got no one to throw him the ball. So I wasn't a big fan of that. Like, my two options, before we got to pick 12 was either take Bo Nix or, trade back and get picks. If Bo Nix is gone by the time you draft him, or if Michael Penix didn't get taken and you could, maybe move back a few spots and still get Bo Nix and pick up an extra second or something, I was fine with that. But taking Brock Bowers at 12 it made no sense to me for the simple fact you had no one to throw him the ball. Cool. He's out there getting his cardio, but he ain't getting no catches because, Zach Wilson or Jared Stidham ain't going to get him the ball. So a lot of fun stuff, man. I'm happy that we got our quarterback of the future last night. And now I'm excited. I can't wait for the season to start. The season can start now, honestly. I'd be so happy. And I will say this: as soon as they figure out what Bo Nix's number is going to be, and they get his jersey up, I'll be one of the first ones to buy his jersey. Like, I'm supporting him. He's been my guy since the end of the season. I'm excited that we got Bo Nix, and you know now this is the worst part about it. Now that we got the guy that I wanted, maybe for some of you guys too, because I know a lot of people wanted Bo Nix, not just me. But now it's like you got your guy of the future. You got Sean Payton, a head coach that can develop him correctly. It's like now you want the season to start. Now it's going to take forever for it to get here because Bronco fans actually have hope for the first time in years. We have some hope. We have a quarterback that we drafted in the first round that fits our head coach's system perfectly. We got a head coach that can develop a guy that's offensive minded. Like, I'm excited. Like, I want the season to start already so we can, see what Bo Nix has and how him and Sean Payton work together this season. Like, I hope these next like 4 or 5 months fly by and September gets here because I want to watch Broncos football. I want to watch Bo Nix. I am so freaking ecstatic. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What did you guys want last night? After the board fell the way it did, by the time the Broncos got on the board, who'd you want? Did you guys want to take Brock Bowers? Did you guys still want to trade back? Were you happy with the Bo Nix, pick? And honestly, were you guys as surprised as I was whenever the Falcons took Michael Penix at 8? That was crazy to me. They could use so much defensive help, and maybe the Broncos could have traded back and got an extra pick if Penix wasn't taken by the Falcons at 8, because it still leaves you a little bit of wiggle room. You still got 2 quarterbacks on the board. You could probably maybe move back the spot or 2. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe on this video, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.